Thank you very much for your waiting. Let me move on to presentations. The first presenter is from Research Institute for Sustainable Human Sphere, Kyoto University, specially appointed Professor Arimitsu Usuki. Professor Usuki graduated from the Department of Applied Chemistry, Graduate School of Engineering, Nagoya University, obtaining master's degrees and joined Toyota Central R&D Labs. In 1997, he obtained engineering doctorate from Nagoya University for research on nylon 6 clay hybrid and served as the director, the chief of the material field, and the senior fellow. Since 2016, he has served as a specially appointed professor at the Kyoto University and retired from Toyota Central R&D Labs. From 2014 to 2017, he served as the vice chairman of the Society of Polymer Science. Now, Professor Usuki, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. I am Arimitsu Usuki from Kyoto University. I am very happy to have a presentation at this conference. As introduced, I joined Toyota Central R&D Laboratories in 1980 and have been developing polymer materials for automobiles. Since 2016, I have been promoting the nanocellulose vehicle project at Kyoto University. Today, I will talk about what is currently being done at Kyoto University, and while introducing some of the work of the Toyota Central R&D Laboratories. Before starting my presentation, I will introduce Toyota Central R&D Laboratories. Toyota R&D Laboratories is exactly located here in Aichi Prefecture of Central Japan in the city of Nagakute. And always be studious and creative, striving to stay ahead of the times. This statement was made by Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of the Toyota Group. So that is the basic policy of Toyota R&D Laboratories. So they are working on the energy and safety and other issues for the automobiles for future. This is the Toyota family tree. And the current president is the fourth generation descendant of the founder, Mr. Sakichi Toyoda and Mr. Kiji and Shoichiro. And I'm also in this photo. And just 10 years ago, I was with him at the Japan Institute of Invention and Innovation. And this is one of my good memories with them. And the last one, I'm going to touch upon this later on. But this is a vehicle we created. And we exhibited that in the Tokyo Motor Show. And Mr. Akio Toyota visited our booth. And also the Minister of the Environment, Mr. Koizumi, was there. So unfortunately, he stepped down recently. However, in that motor show, Mr. Toyota and Mr. Koizumi visited us. By the way, have you ever heard of 5 main principles of Toyota or Toyota Koryo? Toyota has these 5 precepts. So even in English, we call it Toyota Koryo. And today time is limited, so I will just show you this. But the second one is the most important for me. Always be studious and creative, striving to stay ahead of these times. When I joined Toyota Central R&D Laboratories, my first job was I described in this paper. I'm going to use technical terms in the following few pages. This is polymer nanocomposite. We polymerized nylon 6 in clay galleries. The paper was published in 1993, and it was said as the world's first polymer nanocomposite. And I am deeply attached to this material. This slide shows the scheme of how the nylon 6 is synthesized. So starting from upper left, clay has layers. The nylon 6 is synthesized in between the layers. Sorry, again, it's very technical. But by cation exchange with 12-amino dodecanoic acid, intercoloration of a monomer, epsilon cabalactam, and polymerization. Then clay is dispersed in the polymer at the nanometer level. This scheme is very simple, but a good material can be generated. That's what we obtained back then. We named this nylon clay hybrid, or NCH. NCH has high tensile strength, tensile modulus, and heat distortion temperature, which is a critical factor for vehicles. Just by adding 4.2% of natural clay, compared with a pure nylon 6 at the bottom, it's a pure nylon, tensile strength increases by 1.5 times, tensile modulus by 2 times, and heat distortion temperature by 90 degrees. The amount of added inorganic ingredient is very little, so the material is light, strong, and heat resistance. We produce such a material. So actually, this material was already put to practical use by Ube Industries in Japan in 1989. These photos showed application, a time-built cover for automobiles, left side, and a food packaging film on the right side, because it has a high barrier performance. Also, so thanks to its barrier performance, we can use that for the multi-layer fuel tube and also an engine cover, which is on the right side. So using the natural clay and putting them into the nanometer level, we can produce such a wonderful material. And now let me touch upon my last job. So actually there are in these 2 papers. So it was the creation of bio-derived nylon 11 and also polypropylene PP alloys, which is also used for vehicles such as bumpers. So we mix them into an alloy, which becomes a very good material again. We published papers in 2016 and 2017. The nylon 11 was dispersed like islands in polypropylene, and a new salami structure was found. So these were summarized in these 2 papers. And this shows high-order structure of polypropylene PA11 alloy. So this matrix is a polypropylene and islands or nylon 11. The interface is the compatibilizer to promote mixing. This is a new structure and called salami structure. For the island structure has lake structure inside. So it has a very good features. Let me explain that. The lower right is the mix of PP and PA11, and impact strength is very low. However, this newly developed salami structure drastically improves the impact strength to 80. So it is often used for PC ABS, polycarbonate ABS alloy for helmet. It's about 50. So this new material has a higher impact strength. So
we wanted to make use of this good material for automobiles, and then this excellent impact resistance property was utilized for and applied for the crown model of Toyota, crown door trim. I am here in the driver's seat, and the inside of the door, this is the applied door trim. In 2019, fiscal 2019, Global R&D prize was awarded for the Central Lab and also Toyota Boshoku. So far, the introduction of my career at the Toyota Central R&D laboratories. Since 2016, I was in the Central Lab, but I also received the offer for working for Kyoto University. For 3 years, I have been commuting the 2 locations for work. And at the Kyoto University, the first and probably the last job was, as I said before, that the nanocellulose vehicle project of the Ministry of Environment, and then I became a project leader. And another is that the paper is broken down to pieces, and the cellulose nanofiber is made, and that is like like fiber of the wood materials broken down, and then that is practiced for materials of automobile, and that will be my last project in my career. In other words, making cars out of wood is my job. You might be surprised to hear that. However, usually we want to make the weight of cars lighter and lighter. In order to do that, instead of metal, we'd like to use resin or plastic more. And to that end, well, metal will be replaced with resin, or if the resin is used, and then it will become thinner, and then the weight would become lighter. And to do that, we need to reinforce the resin. The current resin, of course, it's usable, but the others are not very usable. Therefore, I decided to use wood instead. So wood means paper or cellulose. It's broken down to pieces and then reinforced resin. Well, we don't use wood as it is. When the wood is made smaller and smaller, there is a fiber-like form that is called cellulose nanofiber, or CNF. So lower right picture is that. This is very thin and very tough fiber is incorporated in resin to reinforce it. And then we wanted to use it for automobiles. That is my job. Then what is the quality of cellulose nanofiber or properties? Well, the width of fiber is from 10 to 20 nanometers. The length is more than 1 micrometer, and it's lightweight. That means the specific gravity is 1.5. Well, the metal or iron is around 7 and aluminum 4. So compared to that, it's very lightweight. Also, it's highly elastic and also very strong. And then the modulus is 150 gigapascal. If you look at this figure, actually 5 times more or stronger than iron. So, such fiber is incorporated in the plastic to reinforce the quality. First, making car from wood, well, people might misunderstand this as origami, folding paper, or paper craft. Traditional paper craft in Japan is very popular. And this is from the Toyota Museum website, paper craft example. If you look at this, bus and also passenger cars can be made using this material or paper craft material. And the bus is made by using this. This is the deployment diagram, and if you fold as instructed, you can make a bus. That's very interesting of part of paper. But it is really difficult to really use paper in a real car. However, a couple of years ago, Toyota has made this prototyping. That is origami car made of cardboard. Well, every material is from cardboard. And it can actually run. And Lexus logo is in the front. I would like to try driving this vehicle. So this is the one example. But unlike this, the resin has the cellulose or paper ingredients to reinforce it. And then from here, this is a story of my work at Kyoto University. The Ministry of Environment Nanocellulose Vehicle NCV project. In this project, the lightweight of vehicle is the perspective, and then we generate the CNF materials and then do the evaluation of a car. That is the main objective. And in this trend, that we would do the synthesis of the materials and also produce parts and materials and then vehicles. In 2016, I joined this project, and in 4 years, we wanted to complete it. So I thought it was interesting, and then I joined this. But 4 years, well, it seems to be long, but actually not very long, and I was very busy. Then what is the cellulose nanofiber benefit in automobile industry or field? Again, vehicles can be lightweight by using this, and also carbon dioxide emission, that is the big problem now, can be reduced. Also, well, we can ensure security of supply. Japan has forest, so cellulose is abundant. So, like the third, we can reduce the use of plastics. And this is also government policy of Japan. When I was in Toyota Central R&D lab, I didn't know much about the ministries, but I moved to Kyoto University and then interacted with the ministries. And for the CNF, ministries were collaborating each other. And I belong to the project of Ministry of Environment, and the Ministry of Environment is sponsoring NCV project. And this ministry's role is on the downstream side, from upstream, the MAFF, and the MEXT, and the MAT, and MOE. And then we would actually use it for automobiles. So this is the project of Ministry of Environment. And I believe that the project enables expansion into promising fields for global warming prevention. So I went to Kyoto University in 2016. And I needed to collect the members. And that was the hardest part. But I asked many people. And actually, 22.
And also, we are sharing the roles and divisions in our activities. And Kyoto University takes an initiative for overall activities. So I invited them, and that's why there are so many Toyota Group companies in this project. But thanks to that, we can collaborate very closely to generate a new vehicle. This is the organization chart of this NCV project. I myself is a project leader, and the sub-project leader is the Kyoto University, Professor Yano, and also from Kanazawa Institute of Technology, Professor Kageyama. And there are 7 groups under that. Yes, as you can see, there are 7 groups. In total, so some of them are full-time workers, but including others as well. In total, we have more than 500 people here. This is the schedule of the NCV project. So in October 2016, we have collected the members. So we started the project 6 months later than the schedule. And in December, there was a Tokyo Motor Show, and there was a request to exhibit a car in that Tokyo Motor Show. So we were in line with the schedule. So actually, I was concerned that if we really do that in just 4 years, but in 2 years, the fiscal 2017, the first prototype was realized. So actually 2 parts of the existing vehicle were replaced with the prototypes. And after that, we created the final prototype for the Tokyo Motor Show. So for the first prototype, we selected Toyota H6, and engine hood and the trunk lid were replaced with the CNF parts. Here are the materials used. For CNF, chemically modified cellulose fiber, and unmodified cellulose nanofiber. And paper, including CNF, was also used. For polymer, polyamide polypropylene and polyethylene, a variety of polymers were used. Now let me talk about the specific cases. This is the polypropylene CNF composite. door trim. That's a prototype of door trim. So adding 10% of CNF to polypropylene increases the modulus by 1.6 times. As a result of that, the board thickness was changed from 2.3 millimeters to 1.9 millimeters. Then the total weight was reduced about 10%. This door trim was manufactured by Toyota Boshoku, and this door trim was installed on the final prototype car. This is a prototype intake manifold made of polyamide 6 CNF composite. The current product contained the glass fiber of 30%. But adding 15% CNF to PA6 increases the modulus about 2 times. So it's almost the same as glass fiber. So the specific gravity is smaller than the glass fiber, and the total weight was reduced about 13%. This was made by icing. So other examples. This is 100% CNF materials produced by Risho Kogyo. CNF is often sold as water dispersed materials, and the aqueous dispersion is hardened by filter pressing into a sandwich structure with honeycomb inside. And then the bonnet or engine foot was made by this material, which is cellulose 100%. And this is an aluminum pipe wrapped with CNF sheet produced by Showa Marutsutsu. Marutsutsu means a round tube. This tube is very fragile, and this pile can be, so this material was used for the reinforcement, and again the weight has been reduced only half. This is a polypropylene CNF composite hollow parts manufactured with blow molding. So blow is the method which is used for the PET bottles. So it's a hollow part and it's very light. And this prototype was made by Kyoraku. And this is the floor of the trunk. This sample was prepared as a replacement for the trunk lid of existing automobile Toyota 86. And this was made by Daikyo Nishikawa, which is very good at this kind of parts in Hiroshima. So originally this was made by metal. However, this one's weight is only half of the metal. This sample was prepared to replace engine foot of existing vehicle Toyota 862 by Kanazawa Institute of Technology and Toyota Customizing and Development. So again, that special method was used for that, which is RTM, resin transfer molding method. So this is often used for a large molding parts and using CNF sheets. The CNF was impregnated with epoxy resin and low pressure was added. So of course, this prototype indicates the weight is lighter than conventional metal parts. This is very interesting again. For the final prototype car, we had to create the unique part for that vehicle. And this is the wheel fin and also the bumper side fin, which were made by 3D printer and by the Kyoto University and the Nagoya University of Nagoya Technology, Institute of Nagoya Technology. And 3D printer is very suitable for making grid structure components, and then we were able to put it in the final prototype. And this is a huge part, which is the resin glass, so-called glazing. The left side is sunroof and the right side is backdoor glass. The transparent resin with 15% of CNF and polycarbonate were molded by injection press machine. The weight was lighter by 50% than inorganic glass. And compared with the resin polycarbonate glass, we were able to reduce the weight by 20%, and this was made by Toyota Motor East Japan.
This is the first prototype car that replaces the hood or bonnet and then trunk lid of Toyota 86 with CNF material. Very first CNF used prototype. Following this success of the prototype, we made a concept car for Tokyo Motor Show. We had to do various designs, so we asked the designers to describe the image of wood or image of Japan. And we had done various discussions with them. And then we had finally made this prototype, excuse me. And if you look at the picture, the wood carving design is used. And then this is it. This is the overall image of Japanese. And then this is 2019, October to November, Tokyo Motor Show. We had this display. At the very good timing, I think that we could do this prototype. And after this, the exhibition was very difficult to be held due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then Motor Show, which was scheduled to be held this year, was also canceled. Therefore, in this sense, it was a very good timing for us to display this prototype at the Motor Show. And this car uses about 13 parts that we created, and the weight is 1,050 kilogram in total. Usually for this size of the car, 1,250 kilogram is the average. So 200 kilogram lighter. That means 16% lighter than the average vehicle of the same size or similar size. And then fuel economy, the 11% of the reduction is achieved. And this is the interior. of this vehicle, and the interior is inspired by Japanese style. The seats are the kimono design. And this is the steering wheel. This is the image of the sword sheath. In the center emblem is a logo of the Ministry of the Environment. This is made with the cloisonné or shippo pottery. And so we have other special taste. But this is not directly related with the CNF, so I do not mention too detail. And this is the picture taken from the back. And if you look at this, the headliner sunroof and the back door are the resin glass with the CNF. So we exhibited this at the Tokyo Motor Show, and this is a panel at that time, and future car made from woods. From number 1 to number 13. 13 parts used the CNF material. And in total, this vehicle weight was reduced to a large extent. And when we exhibited this car, it was so beautiful, and it was displayed there. So people thought, the visitors thought that this was just the item and not being operated. But so they asked question, can this concept car really run? And actually it can run. And then I'd like to show you the proof. Please look at this promotion video. This is a shot at the Toyota Commemorative Museum of Industry and Technology. And this is the private road for delivering cement of Ube Industries, and then this road was used for this shooting. So since this is a private road, so there's no speed limit. So we created this car, and then together with the promotion video, we exhibited this at the Tokyo Motor Show. And finally, this is the picture at the Tokyo Motor Show day 1. And at that time, Mr. Koizumi was the Minister of Ministry of Environment, and Akio Toyoda, the President of Toyota Motor Corporation, visited this booth. And it was very exciting. And Minister Koizumi said that it was first time for me to look at the bonnet that can be lifted by hand. And it was a very nice comment, and I was so pleased to hear that. So finally, acknowledgement. This project was conducted with the 22 institutions and also many supporters to make this concept car, and also the making car from wood and paper would become realistic, and we had that outlook, and that was so this is the starting point in this sense. And currently at Kyoto University, using this material and parts, we would like to utilize them for the real vehicles. So in this way, we are making the trials and errors every day. Well, if you have any ideas or any interest that you would like to use any particular materials or parts for automobiles, and you would like to touch them or you'd like to try them, please contact us. Well, thank you very much for giving precious time for me to introduce my project to the audience. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Dr. Usuki, thank you very much. Please give him big hands again.